friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today's video is going to be two different things. One is to find the lost object. I have a pretty good success rate with searching for lost objects using tarot. I would say it's at least about an 85% to 90%. There have been times when there's only been one time out of maybe 8 times. I'm a mathematician, but there's been like one time maybe out of 8 that I have not been able to ever find the item in it. I just chalked it up to be lost and I just replaced the item. And I don't usually resort to tarot until I'm desperate and I've exhausted all my common sense ability to find an object. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm looking for my electronic reading book, my Kindle book. Now, I've searched everywhere that I think I would have put it. You know, I have recently been reading real books. You know, I've just had a need to be tactile, I guess. And let's face it, we all agree, I think, that there are occasions when having a real book is a little bit more satisfying or a little bit more convenient, especially if you want to go back and forth to pages or whatever. And the last time that I can recall having used my ebook was when we were on that cruise in November. And it like sickens me to think that I might have lost it or left it behind in a drawer or something, maybe on the bed under the sheets or covers, and I didn't notice it, you know. Because I doubt if anybody would have been honest to say, hey, whoever had this room, you can't count on people to, they could have just put it in a lost and found, and after 30 days they took it, you know. So that's a possibility. It could just be lost, which would account for why I might not be able to find it. But I just thought I'd put it to the cards anyway. I tend to think we were very meticulous and careful about packing our stuff and just going around the room, the cabin, and getting our stuff. And I'm reasonably sure it made it home. So to do this, I am using an Artisan Tarot deck. I haven't shown them love recently, and they have some great decks. I love this deck. It's a Besançon, and I love it. Never underestimate the power of a pink back. It's like a beautiful pale pink back. It's a Besançon that they restored. I think the Besançon, this particular one, created by Jacob Jerger in the mid-1800s sometime in the Besançon region of France. However, he was himself, I believe, a German. So I'm going to just flip the camera and see what I can find. Now, the next question I'll be using quite a different deck, and it will be a much deeper kind of question. But for the most part, I really do want to know what happens to my e-reader before I go and buy another one. And I don't want to buy another one because I had so many great books. Oh, I guess they would transfer. Would they transfer? Those of you who know about ebooks, would the content of one ebook transfer to another unless somebody found it and deleted it all? Oh, man. Oh, that's a possibility too. Well, going on the assumption that it's findable, I'm going to ask the universe, please, dear universe, help me find what I did with this ebook. Okay, and I'll just do 3 cards with a quintufourth. Now, unfortunately, it's not like Lenormand. There won't be a ship in this deck. However, there would be a chariot, so it's possible. If we see the chariot appear, it could, suggest conveyance. Some type of vehicle. Well, a knight on a horse could suggest transportation, could suggest a trip over water. It is the cup. It is the card of cups, the Knight of Cups. We have 10 coins. Put a fork in it, maybe. Coins could be seen as, an erudite kind of suit. Education. Reading would be under that. And then we have a 5 of swords of communication, electronic. Instability of, since putting it in the context of the question, right? I'm not looking, to say, oh, social unrest or anything like that, because the context of the question is not about that. The context of the question is about an electronic book and a certain ill at ease of, the communications, where maybe I won't find it, although there is a piercing through, so maybe there is hope that it will be found. So we have, 10 and 5 would be a solid 15, which would be the devil. And hopefully, there it is. It's not too far down the lot. So maybe what became of it is mischief. And, some type of mishap or some kind of unfortunate thing. Now, it's not the destruction card like a tower card suggesting, but it could suggest theft. It could suggest my own carelessness. It could suggest that it's long gone from having been on the ship as a body of water. We have a knight of, he's not the chariot, but he is somebody who's on a horse and he is carrying a vessel. So I think maybe this looks like I might not find it, or that perhaps I left it behind. Okay, now put that aside, all right? Put aside that maybe it's lost and I'm not going to get it. Let's look at the visual clues. Oh, what was that? Did you hear that? Let's look at the visual clues. Okay, so we do have the conveyance part. All right, we'll ignore that one. It's not in my car. Well, if it had been in a car, we've owned 2 cars since that car, because my husband turned in that car and leased another car. So if it's in the original car, that would explain why it's long gone. We'll never find it. Darn. Now, you might say, oh, plates, it could be in the kitchen. It's not in the kitchen. It's not in the kitchen. I never have the book in the kitchen. It's just not my style. If I don't have any self-awareness at all, it would not be in the kitchen. The only rooms it would be in I would have my other books. This could be seen as a collection of education, which would be here. My primary books are here in my tarot parlor. We do have a bookshelf in the basement. However, knowing myself, I would never put an ebook on a bookshelf in either location because I'd never find it. It's pink, so that's another reason why I use the deck too, because I'm trying to call to mind the object. But it does suggest it could be where other books are collected. And this would be the electronic portion, the air. Obviously, it isn't easy to find. 5 is a number of unease, as far as I know. It's how I feel, rather. It could be dead, It's just out of juice, of course. It's been months since I've seen it or used it. But it's not as though I have any kind of alarm that I could use to find it. Maybe it could be near a receptacle where I might have charged it. Maybe it's near some type of electrical, receptacle. However, I've checked all the bed tables. But that's not a bad idea. I'll review that again, where I have a collection of other books. This one remains problematic, however. As does this one. So the hopeful cards the cards about the collection of other books might be, and, plugging it in, maybe, right? But these two cards that flank it give me less hope, because it suggests that maybe there was a theft while on the boat, or not even that it was a theft, but maybe I was careless and it went away, either on the boat or in the car. So, working on the positive, I'm going to pause this before I go into the next reading. I am going to search receptacles where the book might have just been laid to charge up and I forgot all about it. And if not, I'm just going to have to probably buy a new ebook. Okay. Alrighty, well, I've looked in all the places that these cards described if they could be here. And I didn't go down the basement. That's my last place that I could go down. It's possible my husband was watching the ball game and I may have taken the ebook down with me to just be with him, coexist together, but not like participate in the game and just read my book. That's a distinct possibility. So I will go down there and check. However, I'm wondering if it was left in a receptacle on the ship and just took off, either due to mischief on someone else's part or carelessness on my own. But see, this one gives me hope, because this one makes me think it's with a collection of other books near a receptacle. But on the ship, I didn't have a collection of books other than the ones that were on my ebook. Oh, well, if any of you have any insights, let me know, because I'd really love to find that ebook. And anyway, let's move on to the next question. The next question, let me flip the camera for a sec. Some of you may say, but the devil doesn't represent carelessness like maybe the fool would. The fool maybe would be a better representation to show carelessness. But in a sense, the devil could it represent carelessness? Sometimes when you're careless with a person's heart, that's, that could be represented by the devil card. You're in it for the wrong reasons kind of thing, right? I'm not sure if it applies for the book for my own carelessness. But it might be due to my own, I'm not sure. Hopefully it's in the basement. Okay, for the next question, I will be using my Fortuna opal. I know some of you aren't here for the modern decks, but it is historic in the sense that it's modern in history. With tarot is still being made. Tarot is still a thing. It's 600 years later. It's really kind of cool. It's a tradition that has continued through the years, and we can't ignore that. Now, the Fortuna deck is a little chunky for me to do easily. Let me see. I probably could technically do it, but I'm not going to bother. So I break it up in chunks, and I do it that way. But my question for the Fortuna, we're going back to tinfoil hats a little bit. But I don't think so. I think I'm in safe territory, like logical territory, critical thinking territory, if you will. If we recognize and understand that with the vastness of the universe that is, there has to be intelligent life elsewhere. And chances are really good it surpasses what we got going on down here. Right? It's got to. I just have a hunch. So that doesn't mean that they're aware of us. That doesn't mean that they're already here. Although some, readings have suggested that they are aware of us and that there might be a presence. But not necessarily so, because, you know, the way I use tarot is not necessarily fortune telling, you know, to foretell. It's more to consider things, right? So if I were to do a reading and it suggested that, you know, extraterrestrials were here, it's to tell me you should consider that as a possibility, right? So my question then is, going on the assumption that there are indeed extraterrestrials with, you know, non-human intelligence that surpasses our own, that may be aware of us. They may be aware of us. If they're, I mean, the universe has been around, what, 14, 15 billion years, 14.5 billion years, I think, something like that. So in 14 billion years, collectively, the universe could have come up with something a little more sophisticated than us, right? And even on our own planet, even on our own planet, which has, I think, is supposed to be like 4 billion years old. 4 billion years is a lot of years. Our presence on this planet, if you consider our earliest ancestry of, you know, what we evolved from, you know, maybe 1 million, right? So there's like considerably billions of years before that. That could have been buried, could have been redone. See? There's no reason to believe that we're the peak of 4 billion years of evolution. Stuff could have happened, been destroyed. Natural, you know, I mean, the comet came and destroyed the dinosaurs. It could have happened. Stuff happens cyclically. So, but I want to ask, going on the assumption that there is awareness of us elsewhere. The awareness of us could actually even be here. Ooh, there's a chip in this card. Look at that. Ooh, that's not nice. It's like the paint. Oh, the paper just tore right off. What is it? The Eight of Swords. What a shame. What a real shame. So my question is, let's get to the point. My question is, assuming that there is intelligence that is aware of us, whether it's out there or here, they've certainly watched humanity go through perilous times in the past. What's happening now in this country is nothing new. It's happened in Europe, you know, and it's happened in other countries, you know, that have less humanity than we do. And going back far enough, we all have less humanity than we currently do. So they've seen a lot, and they have never intervened, if they exist. They have not intervened. So there's that. Or maybe they haven't intervened that we are aware of. So my question is, with what is happening that affects the globe, and we're not the only fascists, let's call it for what it is. This has now become a fascist regime. We're not the only one on the planet. But if others are aware of it, do they have any concerns? Do they have any advice? Do they have any wish? Will they intervene? Will they intervene in a subtle way that we'll never know? Have they intervened? That's a lot of questions. I'm not going to ask all that many. But I will use my signature spread, which tends to be really good for relaying multiple features, multiple, you know, for explaining multiple aspects of a question. Sometimes that's why I really love it when, you know, clients ask, like, what should I don't know what to pick. What should I pick? I say my signature spread, because it's really great at addressing an entire issue, but then also addressing key parts, key questions within the question, because a lot of times people have multiple questions, right? They have one question, but they have multiple concerns about that one question. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know which features of that question the universe will yield. I do ask the universe most humbly to let us know what we're intended to know, or things to consider that the universe would like us to consider. Not necessarily that it's gospel. So let me go off into my meditative place, do just that. I'll be right back. Okay, I feel good. I think we're going to get a decent reading. Okay, we have 6 coins. 6 is a perfect number. In the context of the question, it could be said that discs could represent extraterrestrial or, non-human intelligence. The suit of coins does represent intelligence. It could be that. Non-human intelligence that's celestial. Well, we do see celestial elements on the card. I mean, it is a feature of this deck, which is why I use it for these kinds of questions. But aside from those, we have this, So I do want to read the entire spread before I get nitty-gritty with individual cards. But for those of you who might come to my channel to learn, I just want to share how my thought process is as I lay cards. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't on video. Oh, my goodness. Every time I use this deck, I forget to take out the magnum opus. It's a 79th card. It's an additional card that represents the body of work. So it's in addition to the world card. I think in this deck, the world card is the universe card. So it's in addition to that. So this is like the mastermind behind, it's magnum opus, which means the great work. But because it's got an I and it's above and beyond the universe, could it be the mastermind beyond the universe? Could that be a suggestion? I don't mean to offend anybody who's got, religious beliefs that wouldn't support that. Okay, the Lover's card. So, reflection of ourselves is what we usually see when we look in a mirror. But because it is the Lover's card, it could suggest, loving others as you love yourself, or love yourself as you share love with other people. Or, love yourself as you love other people as you love yourself. That would be a great explanation for this card. I think that's the one I tend to use with this deck. Okay, another card of discs. And again, so far, every single card has a circular shape or a disc shape, which is very interesting. Okay, front core 9, front and center of the core 9. King of Keys. We have a gate. Five Cups. Eight Cups. Another 10. Oh, is this the only 10? 10 of coins. Okay, now it's our only 10. And 4 of fire, the only suit of fire. So we do have, front center, we do have the suit of swords, the equivalent. I see them as swords and coins and whatever. So we have the suit of swords, even though it's it says of keys. And we don't see a key. We see the lock to the key, right? So the key is missing in this, we understand that it exists, but someone else has the key. The key isn't right here, but whoever has the key will open up to the vastness of what is. If you want to understand my thought process when I do my own signature spread, more than welcome to share it. If you do so in public and use it, if you do so on public forums or whatever, please just give credit to me because I invented it. People like to get credit for things they do. Let me go off and tally up what the quint cards are, and then the quint card for the total read. For those of you who are new to my channel, I do not tally up points or numeric value for cards of the courts. And also because I'm not going to give this a number here. I'm not going to give this 22 or anything like that. I'm just going to, there's no number on it. I'm just going to treat it like a 0. So I add up, the numbers. And if it surpasses 22, I subtract 22 until I get a number from 1 to 21. And if I were to subtract 22 from 22, I'd get 0. So either way, 0 or 22, whatever the final number is, it would still represent the Fool card. So let me go off, use my pen and paper because I can't be trusted in my head anymore. I'll be right back. Okay, so the Quint cards for the bottom row. This one is the Universe. So we have the Universe and the Magnum Opus that I've never had in a spread before. So, I keep forgetting to take this card out. I just always, it's understood in my own mind. If it shows up, I'll just deal with it. For the middle row, we have the Strength card. If I could do if I could ask the people who made the deck, although this is a beautiful deck as is, if they would change two things, if they would ever republish the deck, would be to make Strength 11 and allow Justice to be 8. And also to rename the Fool card. I want to read this as a tarot deck and I want to see this as the Fool card, but they name it the Seeker, which is different than the Fool card. It gives a different, so if I read the deck, I have to understand that it gives a different taste or a different flair. So I'll have to read the deck, and if I make if I say some things that don't sound like the Fool, it's because I'm trying to read the deck in the context of the question and keeping in mind their name change. Oh, and the top row, we have the Hanged Man. Okay, so for the Quint for the entire spread is the World. Top row, Hanged Man, center row, Strength or Fortitude, and then the bottom row is the Universe that they call the World. Now, if we just look at the visuals, as I mentioned when we first started laying the cards, up until here, it was all discs. It could be said, oh my gosh, this is a question about that kind of thing. What puts us in the mind of the possibility of UFOs or whatever is a disc, right? Then we have someone who has a key, who is a keeper, not us. The key isn't here. In fact, there isn't a single key in the spread except for this one, and it's missing the key. So we don't have the key, right? We don't have it. That could be us, the Seeker. I'm asking for all of us. It's a question that I came up with, and I am the one who's interpreting the cards, but I'm doing it for all of us. I think the universe understands that I'm doing it for all of us because I express in my meditation that it's going to be for public knowledge. So it could be, since it does fall in this row by design, that we're in search of the key. Maybe we're not in search of the key, although this is the Seeker, but we are not the keepers of the key. So if we aren't in search of the key, we should be. You know what I'm saying? Now, in searching for the key, could that perhaps be some type of, it's required to have some kind of spiritual leanings. They don't have to all be the same, but there should be some spiritual leanings, maybe. I don't know if that's what that's saying. We don't have to be classically religious, but there's usually a code of existence that we each have that we consider good code. Now, even if you're an atheist, it doesn't mean you're not going to be a moral person, right? So if we look at the key, not as religion per se, but as our personal code, since the Seeker card does show up, then front and center kind of suggests that, and along with this card, that we should be in search of that. Maybe one of the messages they want us to know is don't be looking for them, be looking at yourself. We have the Lover card, in this row. Compassion, what are the things that, oh, that's strength, excuse me. Where's the Lover card? Oh, I apologize. I was perceiving that as the Lover card because it looks like a mirror. My apologies. So I have to read fortitude in the context of what I was saying as far as being in search of something. Well, it requires integrity and strength, moral fortitude for sure to do something like that. An exercise I do, and I don't know, I'll pass it along to you. It's something I do daily, is to make let me flip the camera for a second. I'm going to get personal. Something I do as part of my daily routine. Either it's in the morning when I wake up, thank the universe for the day, be grateful for the day I have, and then I will take stock of things that are painful to look at. But I'll say to myself, one of the things I want to do is, if I can, I try to recall times in my life where I was not good, kind, thoughtful, generous, that kind of thing. And then I force myself to look at the pain it caused somebody else. Right? And there've been a lot of times, I try not to live my life that way, but when I was younger, trying to figure out who I was and, having got into trouble at certain points in my life, not necessarily that I brought it on myself, but, unfortunate things that we don't have control over, that kind of thing. So most of the time it happened was when I was becoming who I am, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I hurt other human beings. And so I force myself, really, because sometimes it's like, oh, I have to think of that. Oh, I don't really want to go there. But I do. And I force myself to consider what I did to the other human being that was involved in that situation. And then I send out a prayer to the universe and to that person who maybe I could no longer even remember their name, don't know how to begin to apologize to them, but say a prayer and put it out there for the universe, for them to receive, if they care to, my apology and my prayer that they're doing okay, they're doing good, that kind of thing. Or wherever they are in the universe, that, they have a safe trip, that kind of thing. Okay, let's get back to the cards. So I think the universe in this row is explaining to us that it wants us to do that, to search within. It's the center of the reed, right? It's the center of the core nine. It's not on the fringes. It's not on the outside. It's the center. So to go within, right? And to face our fears if we have to, and then find out what we're made of, face our fears of ourselves, the things that are unpleasant to remember because we were unkind or we did some harm. For me, those are the most painful memories I have. I can deal with people passing away, and elderly or whatever, and it's tragic and it's awful, but it's nature's way, but unless I had something to do with it, of course, then I would feel quite differently. But then if I were the kind of person that would feel differently, then I wouldn't be the kind of person to bring that kind of harm. So, but all I'm trying to say in a nutshell is nothing hurts me as much as when I realize the times that I've deeply hurt another human being. That's what hurts me, not what people have done to me. I can forgive people. I have forgiven people. I just move on. I try not to, I never look back hardly ever. I just try to keep moving forward. But maybe the universe wants us, to not only take a deep look at ourselves and go within ourselves, but maybe their message is to treat each other better, right? Maybe it's just to treat each other better. We have a 3 and 4 here. Now they're not the same suit, but they're suits that play well together, and they equal. Oh, did I do the math wrong on this? Because I think I saw this as 4. And because this was upside down. Oh my goodness, 3 and 5. I hate when I make mistakes. Oh no, I did it right. Okay, because we do have 8, which is here, fortitude. So I got it right. So we have a 3 and a 5. They're not the same suit, but they're suits that play well together. This is, looks like a journey. If you look at it like a hot air balloon, you can look at it as a number of things in the context of the question. To me, it looks like it's discs rising. So it's like reaching out above and beyond. That's why I use this deck, because I think it really works well for these kinds of questions. And then we have the emotional, the unsettled emotional stuff of the 5 of Cups. So we perhaps have to soar in the direction of finding the key to ourselves and coping with what we see, the stuff I was mentioning, right? Coping with it, not ignoring it, because it will bring us to, be a stronger, better person, a better entity. Okay, let's look at the row that has the universe. So here we have a representation across the board of suits with the exception of the suit of swords, which we have here. But we have 8, which is a good solid number. It's a number of stability. It's lack of chaos, right? Then we have a 10, which out of chaos, or, well, here's the stability into almost chaos, because 10 is still there. It's still stable, but the next stage is falling, right? The next stage is starting a new cycle. So we have stability, perhaps a need to recycle. Now, it doesn't equal 10, like the Wheel of Fortune. But, sometimes, the cards themselves can lead you to think about a other card in the Triumph Order. The combination of these 2 cards are making me think, well, and it also is a 10, but it's also making me think of this, chaos. Now, if it was this way, it would be like stability after chaos, but here it's like stability. Is it going to bring chaos? It's not chaotic yet. And then the next number is a different suit altogether. It's fire. And we have water and fire separated by earth. And 4 is also a number of stability, but it's exponentially smaller than the 8 of stability that we have in the cups, right? So could it be a need to go in a different direction, because cups is water, candles or batons are fire, as described in this deck. So is there a need, right? The 10 doing the work of a cycle. Is there a need to forget about the status quo and get stability through creativity, through a spark? And then here we have the World card. It's actually the Universe card, which is also like a disc or a cycle, and, could it be they want us to, or they're thinking, oh, dear Lord, maybe they don't want us to, but maybe they're thinking about maybe they're thinking about maybe they're just thinking that it's time to shake things up down here a little bit, whatever way they see fit, because, sometimes when you shake things up and you get a new cycle going with a new spark of energy and collaboration, 4 is a decent number of working together, It's a number of, for me, it's the suit of, community, individuals working together, and fire could be creative energy for sure. So maybe they feel it's time for us to have some type of shakeup to redirect the energy. And then the World card, the World card, the Universe card suggests that's like that would get all of us humans closer to the ideal in the universe. We have the magnum opus up there. So the ideal of the universe, or the ideal condition, or the ideal feature of existing well in a universe. And I know I've already read on the top row, but I want to go back to it because I think what this row is saying is love is the only way. Love is the only way to progress, to set ourselves free. Now, this is not the death card, but it's something that happens right before you die. If you're hung and you take the consequence of a hanging, I mean, that used to be the way, right? And it certainly is what the card originally represented. So it could be, owning up to, or being held accountable and actually being punished. But once I'm not seeing it that way so much as I'm seeing it as being free, of just being let go. And that's the secret. That's the secret. Love is the secret, that will set us free. I mean, that sounds so corny and cliche, but that's what it feels like right there. So, okay, so where is, okay, and the Queen card is the seeker. Well, I guess it's just telling us collectively, if we're all collectively the seeker, to move forward, we have to take a risk. We have to take a chance on the message. I think these cards and these messages work really well in the context of the question. I hope you agree. And isn't this a beautiful deck? It's the Fortuna, Opal Omen in particular, created by Studio Artemy. Until next time, and I have done a showcasing of this, a deck review of this, where I did speak in detail about it. And if I think of it, I'll link that link down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's food for thought. They want us to shake things up. Maybe they don't want to be the ones that have to do it, but they want to see things get shook up. The key, that the missing piece, of course, front and center card, right, is to go inward and to, maybe face who we are and just, to grow and to become, to grow and become emotionally stable or mature. We have to show fortitude, we have to go within, and we have to look at the things we don't really want to look at, Now we do have, the mirror card up here, which is a reflection. It could be, tarot cards individually can mean more than one thing at the same time. But it's not so far from this row where we're discussing looking at yourself, right? So I think this was a really lovely read. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well. I want to say be kind, but we also have to be brave. Bye.